Namaste, angels. This is going to be a bi-weekly reading for the sign of Aquarius. Some of you who are familiar with me and my channel know that I primarily do readings for divine beings. Some of you may call them twin flames, sacred unions, and all these sorts of things. I have been, over the past probably like 2 months, 3 months maybe, doing bi-weeklies, and most recently stopped doing them for all of the elements but the element of earth. I don't know if it's YouTube. I think it is YouTube because I have a lot of problems with YouTube. But there's something where it seems like only my earth sign readings get views. Not even my own sign or signs. Aquarius, which is one. Aquarius is my moon sign. Very low views on the air signs, the fire. I'm a Leo rising. Doesn't help. And the water, so because of that, I just stopped putting my time into it. And I've been doing them for the earth signs only. I've been moved to do one for you guys. So, I hope that you will indulge me, and maybe, if it goes well, maybe we can, continue to pick up, or at least where I do the sign who's celebrating a birthday. That was why I was moved to include your sign. Some of you are still celebrating. To those of you who've already had your birthday, happy belated. You should still be celebrating, turning up the remainder of the month. That's what I like to do. Celebrate my birthday the whole month of June. To those of you who have not yet had your birthday, happy birthday in advance. Some of you may be celebrating today. Happy birthday to you too, of course. So let's get into it. I don't know if you guys heard that air sound. That was my air conditioner. I apologize. Yes, I am running my air conditioner in the middle of January in New York. That's how crazy the weather is these days. Anyway, your overall energy is the Knight of Wands. It's interesting. Speaking of the earth signs, you also have the Hermit in reverse right behind him. So I could stop and talk about the Hermit for a second too. But the Knight of Wands in reverse, in a general sense, is about, Knights are about messages, or at least bringing action to messages. Like pages bring the news, and then with the Knight, something gets put into action. And with the Knight of Wands in reverse, it's no different. He does tend to indicate that you're receiving a message or about to take action on a message that you've received. But with him being in reverse, there's probably going to be a delay. For some reason, you're going to be made to wait, and you're being asked to do so patiently, at least as patiently as possible. I mean, fire signs and wands are about movement, so it's difficult to say wait sometimes to them. The Knight of Wands may be an actual fire sign in your life, or you may, like me, have Aquarius and a fire sign energy in your chart, very strong. Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, or just be, likened to these traits or attributes, at least over the period of these next 2 weeks. These readings are going through the 16th of February, which is not Sunday coming, but the Sunday after that. All right, so the Hermit in reverse. Oh, look at that. 8 of Pentacles upright. 8 of Pentacles upright too. All right, so maybe I'll talk about that for a second also. Hermit in reverse reminds us to take a chance, in life, and with being vulnerable, right? To allow ourselves to be vulnerable. I mean, the Hermit can be somebody who wants to be isolated, right? And sometimes doesn't need to be isolated. And if you need to take time to yourself, then this card, whether upright in reverse, also says, don't be afraid to take it. You should have opportunity to meditate, to think things through, to go within, to gain clarity, to help somebody else to gain clarity in a situation. But when we take it to the extreme and we get carried away with spending time alone, we spend too much time alone. It can often be because we're fearful of being around other people, of being vulnerable, of, allowing them to get to know us or to see like the deepest parts of ourselves, because the Hermit can also be very, very spiritual. And so those are the things that he's showing up to tell you. And putting this with the Knight of Wands in reverse together with the Hermit in reverse, and also in consideration of the 8 of Pentacles, which is about Like we reap what we sow. Like where you put your energy, where you do the work is from where you're going to get an outcome. So it's reminding you of that too. Like if you want to develop relationships with people, for example, then you need to put some energy toward that. Like being home and being to yourself and being afraid to take a risk and to be vulnerable is not conducive to growth. Now with the Chariot, they also revealed to us that the Chariot was there. I don't know if you saw, but the way that it fell when I picked up the Hermit, it was like the Chariot was exposed. So that's why I went ahead and picked up the next card too. The Chariot is telling me that not only delay is possible, but there may be some like stop and go type of energy happening in your life. It could be any, different aspects, like maybe with work, you're working, you're plodding along nicely, and then all of a sudden your work gets interrupted and you get pulled away to attend some sort of training, or something's going on, like, family emergency, God forbid, or whatever. And you have to like take off from work, or you work for yourself, something stops, something mucks up the works. A project you're working on gets halted, temporarily or something like that. In relationships, you can have stop and go energy too. Like, it was all hot and heavy one minute, and the next minute, you went like Hermit on me, ghost maybe even. Now, speaking about the vulnerability, also it's been revealed that the Fool upright is right behind the Chariot. And so this too is saying, go ahead and take a risk and be vulnerable. And, don't stop. Go. This is a card of victory. So it's like you'll be successful where you apply yourself. You'll be successful, whatever aspect of your life it is. The Chariot represents the sign of Cancer, a water sign, or Cancer specifically could potentially be involved in what's going on with you. It also can be a card about literally going or stopping, like transportation, travel, moving, like from moving house or moving, job or something like that too. At work, this Knight of Wands can, well, yeah, I guess like I was saying, like, there may be some sort of interruption when you get pulled away, like unexpectedly, or maybe, like I was at the nail salon a couple of weeks ago, and not this time, the time before that, when my nails were black, and all of a sudden the fire department busted into the nail salon, and they're like, do you have a basement? And, they didn't. They had to shoo the people like next door. But the next door actually had access to what was the nail salon's basement. And there was a huge flood down there. So all of a sudden they were closed for a few days. It was like nobody's fault, but they were closed. So it could be something like that too, like an unexpected interruption at your job. The other day we had it too, in the building next door to me. It's not a residential building, it's a government building. It's like a HUD building or something, an office building. And a transformer blew up in there. Luckily, it only affected, nobody was harmed or anything like that. But there was an explosion in that building. So same thing, fire department came and work had to stop. It was just for that day, but it had to stop. So it can be something like that in terms of work. With your relationships, particularly like romantic relationships. If you're looking for love, like you're single. Sometimes when the Knight of Wands shows up, we think we found the one, and like a permanent commitment may even come about, maybe more so than when the Knight of Wands is upright, even because often when he's upright, he's somebody that comes in, like heals a situation and then exits, gracefully. Be as sure as possible that with whom you're becoming involved and like what you're getting into before you take it all the way. Because you could be rushing things with the Knight of Wands in reverse. Because again, it indicates that there may be a need for patience or interruption. If you are already in a relationship, I'm talking about the fire department and all, but cue the sirens in the background, right? Yeah, so just pardon that. If you're in an existing relationship, then you could be arguing about stuff that's not really what you're arguing about. Like, like when you get into an argument with your partner about which direction the toilet tissue should be going in, and it's like that, that's not really what you're arguing about. Something is at the, at the root of that. it may be a good time for you to try to figure out what is at the root of these things, you know, and fix your relationships. So the card most directly influencing you, representing your energy over this period, is the Seven of Cups in reverse. And this says that you're like making choices that need to be made, and you know, you're moving toward actual action. That's the Knight of Wands, right? The action. So with this upright, it's like you have a bunch of options, you have a bunch of goals, dreams, fantasies, and maybe, you know, you haven't settled on anything and it's time to do some meditation, like with the Hermit, to get it figured out, like what you want to do. But now that it's in reverse, it does say, you know, you're finally getting to a point where you're going to make some concrete decisions, and you won't be wavering anymore after that. Trust your gut, your intuition. You probably already know, like, what you have to do, or from where you need to start. You got to start somewhere, right? You probably know, like, what you have an idea, at least, from where you should be starting or what action you should be taking. So definitely continue to listen to your intuition and your gut feelings, and, you know, let your body tell you what you should be doing in terms of work and everything. There could be somebody in your environment that is dishonest, and somehow maybe it's impacting you and or your work. Maybe they're taking unnecessary risks, but you're like partnering with them. And so if something goes wrong with them, it falls wrong on you. If you sense something is wrong, again, paying attention to your intuition, because this card for me, it's not just, it's the Seven of Cups. It's not a court card, which court cards tend to represent actual people. But for whatever reason, this card is also felt very strongly Piscean to me too. And in that case, like, represented actual people. So there could be this, this person that, and I'm not saying like they're maliciously doing something to, you know, try to take themselves down and thereby you, but they're such a risk taker, and it's like unnecessary risks that they could potentially pull you down with something. So if you sense something is wrong, or they're doing something wrong, you have an opportunity to stop it, or to like disengage, remove yourself from the situation. Definitely do. In terms of love, this card says, again, you've finally gotten clear about what you want or what you need out of relationships and love, and you're ready to take the steps to make that happen. So again, continue to follow your intuition. This strong is very, like I said, very strongly Piscean for me. Earlier this week, on the 3rd, I believe it was, Mercury, the planet that rules your fellow air sign, which is my sun sign, Gemini, as well as Virgo, maybe that's why this Earth is showing up, entered Pisces. So I picked this up. I see also up right behind it is Major Arcana card 16, Life Experience, or the Tower. Important changes are coming into your life that will require you to take action. So this is all about you making action moves. Action Jackson, you guys. Don't hesitate to move potentially, like with the Chariot. See how I pulled right up to the Chariot. I just picked up the whole other batch that was on top of it. Don't hesitate to move, right? To, throw caution to the wind and be vulnerable, and to move in directions that you know are right for you, following your gut. How do you know they're right for you? Because you're following your gut, you're following into intuition. Now, also behind Life Experience or the Tower, some people look at the Tower and they go, oh no, this Tower, it's horrible. It's whatever. That's not how I read the Tower. For me, it's more of a neutral energy, because it can go either way. And even when it goes a way we'd prefer it not to, ultimately it means something good. Think Lord Shiva the Destroyer, right? He knocks everything down. Sometimes we don't want everything knocked down, because change is scary, change, whatever. But at the end of the day, change is good. So when it's rebuilt and it's stronger and it's better, then we're happy. And it looks like if anything like that is happening to you, if there's any sudden revelations or occurrences in your life that are impacting you, they are going to be for the positive, because also right behind the Tower is Major Arcana card 19, the Sun. Your plans will work out well, bringing you happiness, prosperity, and success. You'll garner the recognition for your accomplishments that you so richly deserve. You know what other card says that? The Chariot. It's a card of victory. I didn't do it that time. I didn't do it that time. But here's the Chariot, right? It's a card of victory. Now, what I did reveal is the Knight of Pentacles. So it could be in terms of your work, right? Some sort of major success in terms of your work or your own business or something, or could be something involving a Virgo, perhaps, with the Mercury transit in Pisces, Virgo, Taurus, or Capricorn, or someone like into those traits or attributes. And this thing can be something for which you have prayed. You've made, focused intentions. If you don't believe in prayer per se, like, because you consider that to be religiosity or something like that, manifestation, focused intention, law of attraction, it's all the same to me. You focused on it because the Nine of Cups is a wish card. And it's about wishes coming true, dreams coming true. Here's the dreams right here, the Seven of Cups, right? The goals, the fantasies. This is them coming true, or at least one. And something that that you've really wanted. Now, again, with the Eight of Autumn here, or Pentacles, it's probably going to require, and with the other cards too, with the Knight of Wands and the other ones that we've discussed, require some action from you. It's not going to be one of those gifts from the universe that just happens, just turns up because it's nice for it to turn up. We're going to have to do something. But that thing that we do, like making a decision, a concrete decision, is going to result in this dream being manifested, right? It's going to be very positive. And for some of you, it may very well have to do with your love life. With your love life. Major Arcana card 6, the Lovers, represents the planet Mercury that I've been talking about, and the sign of Gemini, which it rules. So it could involve a Gemini sun again. Sun, moon, rising. Doesn't have to be Gemini sun. True and long-lasting love finds its way into your life. Follow your heart with caring actions and choices. So where that card does not have to do with love, then it tends to be about a heart versus head decision. And maybe that's what this decision is for you. It's something with which you've been struggling. But again, now you've reached a point where despite that struggle, you're ready to just settle on something and stand your ground and go with it and take action in that regard. So when I say heart versus head, it's like, your head or logic or society, your belief systems, things that you hold dear or you've grown up knowing or feeling versus what you feel in your heart or your gut to do. That's what the Lovers can signify for me. And so these two things are pulling you in different directions. And maybe that's the stop and go, because you want to follow your head for a second and do the logical thing. And then you want to follow your heart. But I feel this way, I got to go that way. And so that could be the stop and go and why there's a delay in you having made a decision. But some energy or clarity, this could be connected to the Hermit as well. Information, enlightenment, revelation expected to come in to help you to move forward in that regard. Another reason to think it may have to do with love, however, is you guys also have this card, Soulmate, out of the Universal Love Oracle. You're the only sign to have had it, in the readings that I've been doing. And here you see, this is about being vulnerable. For me, every time I see like nude female body, I'm sure nude male body would mean the same for me too, but I rarely see that. But nude female body has come to mean for me vulnerability, surrender, and listening to your heart, listening to your soul, listening to the guidance, the signs, the synchronicities, following it all, the dreams that you're having, when you're asleep, taking note of them and, interpreting the messages. What am I being guided to do? What's my soul's purpose? Right? Where is it supposed to go? And then allowing it to go there, including as it relates to love and other relationships, soulmate relationships. The Four of Swords, which is the energy that's surrounding you, can also be about your need to make a decision. So these two cards are both cards of decision. And maybe you need to take a break and chill out. Now, this is Swords. So again, maybe it has to do with Mercury. And perhaps that's what the delay is about too. Specifically, you may be delayed because Mercury is currently in shadow, approaching retrograde. Mercury will officially enter retrograde the last day for which this reading is. So maybe that's one of the things that's causing you delay, especially in terms of your relationships, your romantic relationships, because it's said not to be a good idea to even cement a commitment during Mercury retrograde. Like those relationships that tend to come together during those periods often don't survive. I can tell you that my son entered one last year during Mercury retrograde, and that continues to thrive. So, that may not always be true. At least for them, it's not true thus far. But yeah, it is said, like, try to avoid all kinds of contracts and commitments, including relationships. And this card does say maybe we need some rest. Maybe we need some recovery. Maybe we do need to pull away and spend some time by ourselves, like the Hermit. And perhaps it's because we're trying to come to a decision. Maybe we need to do some meditation, focused intentions, manifestation. Now, looking at this card, it is Major Arcana card 21, the World, which for me has a fire energy. So it's probably connected to this Knight of Wands. And it's like the Tower, except the Tower is abrupt, right? It's the change that comes in right away. And with the World, it's the universe stepping in to ease us through this change and ease us out of a situation that doesn't really work for us anymore into one that's more befitting. This Knight of Wands could be representative of maybe the planet Jupiter, right? The planet of expansion and growth and karma and luck. Maybe that's who is gifting us, something new, a new situation that better fits our soul, better fits our purpose, with which we better resonate, and it's easing us out of a situation. Maybe it's Mars, the planet of action, that's represented by this card, that's helping us. When I say it feels like fire to me, I can't describe any further than that what it means for something to feel like fire. And I've never attributed the card to any particular sign. Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries, but it is connected to the element of fire for me. A job well done, joy, contentment, and gratitude in the path toward enlightenment. You know what's under it? Another Four of Swords. There's a Four of Swords there. There's one here. It's time to rest or take a vacation. Allow more time before making a decision. Meditation may provide answers. You know what's under that? Another Knight of Wands in reverse. All right, we got one here, we got one here. Passionate, adventurous, self-assured, and restless. A sudden event that needs immediate attention. Time is of the essence. Think things through carefully. What's different, there's also a Page of Fire underneath that one. Page of Fire does tend to represent the sign of Sagittarius specifically for me, for the most part, because the Page is like the more youthful and, like the... like forever young of a given element. And for the element of fire, the mutable sign in that forever young sign is the sign of Sagittarius, which is ruled by the planet Jupiter. So again, this could be Jupiter showing up. This is the news. This is the action. And again, the Knight was in reverse. He was upside down in this pile. And the Page was upright. So like here's the information, here's the news, and then the action is probably delayed. And that's why it was upside down. Page of Fire is outgoing, creative, confident, and mischievous. News of an exciting new endeavor. Use your originality and your ingenuity. In your position of work and finance, you have the Eight of Cups also in reverse. And this card can mean like you feel like you got to get out of your situation. You can't take your current financial situation for one more second, right? But the truth is you do have the wherewithal to continue to handle it and to maintain it and to keep your head above water, as they say. You can handle it and you will. The way to change the situation is not to go off half-cocked and just do something crazy, but rather to, take a real honest look at your situation. Like maybe you want to fix your credit. It's not going to happen overnight. I can't take having a low credit score for one more second. Well, actually you can. You're not going to die. Like, did you die? No, you're not going to die. You can take it for another day. But yes, it makes perfect sense that you want to get out of that situation. There are ways for you to get out of it. You don't have to stay in that position. You may need to get advice from someone else that can help. You may need to go to some sort of service. You may be, fit to do it on your own. Write or call up the bureaus and have them send you a copy of your free report. And then you yourself go through each one of those items and dispute what's incorrect or what's paid or whatever the case is, and then deal with the rest accordingly, but you have to pay off after that and, come up with some sort of plan as to how you're going to pay it off, right? It's going to require something from you in a very earth sign type of style, right? Something, you're going to have to be methodical about this and apply yourself to it. And some of you may have that earth energy in you as Aquarians to do it. Some of you may be like Capricorn, Cuspians or something. So it's naturally within you to be able to approach something from that sort of methodical and practical perspective. Definitely use that, to your advantage and apply it, because we don't all have that. It's a gift. And that's how you're going to work your way through these situations. And, so it's going to take more than a day, probably, but you're going to get out of this situation. It is going to improve, especially with the Empress sitting next to this card. The Empress is the card that is representative of abundance. Yes, she's in your position of love and relationship, but I also take like all of the cards into account. And these cards where you're making a decision could very well be you making a decision on changing your, career, or your job, or again, some sort of approach to your finances and improving them and getting out of a situation that you may find yourself in. In terms of work specifically, you might be having an urge, to leave your job, or again, your career path, and to make some sort of like radical change, and like kind of feeling like you don't know why you feel like that. There is a reason why. So just like I said, like we could be arguing with our mate about the toilet tissue, which direction. That's not really what we're arguing about. So again, it's going to be important to figure out what the root of this issue is. Like, why do I want to leave my job? And do I really? Do I really? And that could be the decision that some of us are making too. Figuring out what's the best way to, you don't want to, like, how they say, jump out of the frying pan into the fire. You don't want to do that, right? So you don't want to do something that's so radical and crazy that you end up in a worse position, or a position where you're more unhappy than you had been in the other, right? When we're moving forward, we're trying to move toward improvement. And again, the universe wants to help. They want to ease us out of a situation. They don't want it to be too crazy. That's why they're slowing things down and things may be delayed. So go with the energy, right? And allow any transition to be organic and natural and smooth. Yes, we got to be open. Yes, we got to be vulnerable. Yes, we got to trust our intuition and make decisions based off that. But you can slow it down a little bit. So that may be where the stop and go energy is coming into play as well. It's like for your own good, for your benefit. And you're initiating it. You're doing it on purpose. In the position of your love and relationships, again, you have Major Arcana card, the Empress, which does represent two of your fellow air signs. Represents the planet Venus, ruler of the sign of Libra, and esoteric ruler of the sign of Gemini. Also ruler of the earth sign Taurus. Maybe that's what the earth energy that's been popping up here is about, the sign of Taurus. In any case, the Empress in reverse means that it's a really, really strong and like potent time for love in your relationship. You could find that men and women, or as long as everybody's an adult, right, is just suddenly finding you way more attractive than maybe what you're used to. And it can be in terms of friendship, maybe even work. Maybe that's why you're feeling like I should leave my job, because people are approaching you about other things. And so it's causing you to think you're just super attractive to the world. If you're single and you're looking, this could be a time where love could really come your way, and you could just it could be unexpected. The tower atop the lovers, and with the soulmate sitting here next to the soulmate, it can be that like all of a sudden this person seems to come like out of nowhere, and it's like the real deal, like true love that you don't know what to do with yourself after that. And that could actually come even if you're not single. I mean, if you're not looking, rather, and you just sort of like don't expect it at all. Somebody and love may like sneak up on you. You know how they say like sometimes love, that song, like sometimes love knocks you down. It just like comes out of nowhere and knocks you down. That's the tower. That's the tower. So like I said, the tower is not always something that's scary. Although for some, that kind of love, particularly if we're not used to it, could be scary. But, of course, in the safest sense of the word. If you're in committed relationships, when the Empress in reverse shows up, they tend to become far deeper and stronger because the influence of Venus, the Empress, Venus is the rules love. And she has a transit this week too, on the 7th. Yes, she's entering Aries, fire sign Aries. Maybe that's what the fire is about. Could be her. And Venus is a gift giver. She likes to bring us stuff. So she could be, bringing you an abundance of love and, again, strengthened relationships. She also calls on us to draw on this feminine nature. We all have it, male, female alike, masculine and feminine alike. We all have this feminine inside, right? All souls are androgynous, and we all have an inner masculine and feminine. The Empress calls upon us to draw on that more feminine side, and maybe, again, to surrender, to be a little bit more vulnerable. And also to make sure that we're balanced, because sometimes maybe we're heavily masculine, and this is a time to soften it up a little bit as it relates to love. Don't get like crazy or carried away in either direction. That's the ticket in all of these aspects, not just the love one. It's just important, like, not to get ahead of ourselves in any aspect. Further to all of that, let's see what advice they have for us, my fellow Aquarians. It's a Queen of Spring, so more fire. Again, this could be the Venus in Aries, this could be Jupiter, this could be Mars, or this can be an actual fire sign in your life, maybe yourself, that is, exhibiting these attributes and really pushing you forward. The Queen of Spring, or Wands, is talented, brilliant, independent, and charming. Don't underestimate your ability to manifest your dreams. You may have several priorities vying for your attention at once, but you can do it. She is a Leo, Sagittarius, or Aries, or someone likened to those traits or attributes, just like the Knight and the Page. For the feminine is the Ace of Winter, the Ace of Swords. Implementation of your brilliant new idea may get off to a rocky start, but keep going. The challenges will help you to refine your plan and to reshape your goals into something even better. The Ace of Swords, or Winter, or Air, whatever you want to call it, tends to show up when we've had some difficulty in our life, but that difficulty coming to an end and we're getting a new start. It can mean that there's still going to be a few more bumps in the road. So like I was saying, like working through a financial situation or problem, for example. Yes, into the road for that, leaving the worst of it behind you. But yeah, there may be a few more things you got to tackle before it gets better. More importantly, you got a new start though. So there's that. And Mercury, again, and or an air sign may be involved. Again, potentially yourself as an air sign. For the masculine, celebration. So some sort of good news or happy event, something positive in your life. It's kind of like a 3 of Cups kind of card. But you know what? It goes deeper for me too than just like the 3 of Cups and being happy, because of the dove on it. The dove is very Pentecostal for me. And, so that could mean you could even be celebrating like a spiritual event, something like a soulmate connection. Very possible. For the feminine, very funny that you would get emergence in this, talking about all the fire and stuff. This card is like the phoenix rising from the ashes, emerging from the depths. But again, nude feminine body. So it's with guidance, not just going rogue, but following our gut, following our intuition, the signs, the synchronicities, taking a word from the universe, from God, or whatever, however you want to call it, and proceeding in that way. And from the Angel Tarot to the masculine, it is the Page of Air. Again, perhaps the planet Mercury himself, or Venus herself. Logical, honest, impulsive, and curious. Perhaps also a Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, like yourself, or someone likened to those traits or attributes. Challenging information, delays or changes to plans, which I think is probably the strongest message if we connect it to the other cards that have showed up here, is the fact that there may be some delays over these next 2 weeks. Also, truth delivered without tact. And lastly, Major Arcana card 18, the Moon, which I've also mentioned the energy of Pisces and the fact that Mercury just entered Pisces earlier this week. The Moon, in fact, does represent the sign of Pisces. Earth's actual moon, the moon in the sky, rules the sign of Cancer. So it could be other water signs involved, Cancer, Scorpio. But more importantly, this card is about following your intuition and taking the steps you're guided to take, whether you know what's ahead or not. It's like if they tell you to walk into a dark room, there's going to be a straight path to the door and just keep walking. Do you have the faith to do it or not? That's what the Moon talks about. Important psychic insights, events behind the scenes, release fears that hold you back. Take that that guidance and follow it to the letter. And you guys are going to be just fine over the next 2 weeks. In fact, you may be way better than fine, because there's definitely the potential for some really hot love in your life with the Empress and the Tower and the soulmate. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this reading. I will be back, God willing, on February 17th with another, perhaps for air signs altogether and not necessarily for Aquarius on its own, but we shall see. If you like the video, please actually like the video by giving it a thumbs up. If you're not yet a subscriber of mine, please do consider subscribing by hitting both the subscribe button and the bell button. If you like your own private reading or energy healing or merchandise, or even just to chat, I do not charge people to talk to me. I know some people do. Do not do that. I have never done that. I welcome friendships. I'm on social media, and all of that information will be in the description box of the video. I'm more active on my friends page, like on my Facebook friends page, rather than my fan page. But, you know, you're free to sign up for any and all of those. Namaste.